Hi everyone, welcome to my show, From Stuck to Unstoppable, how divorce can be the catalyst for the most extraordinary chapter in your life. Learn how 21 mindset experts can help you shift, thrive, and create the life of your dreams. Now, this is not limited only to women who are experiencing divorce or separation. This is for any woman who is finding themselves in a transition in their life, whether it be an empty nesting or career shift or navigating parts of their career that they hadn't anticipated, relationships. Gosh, there's a myriad of things that one could be in transition with. It could simply be that you've woken up one morning and realized that this is not exactly the life that you had in mind. That's very real, and I feel like that's happening a lot these days. So this show and summit is for you. I have curated a handful of wonderful mindset specialists, casting a wide net of expertise from health, wealth, marriage, divorce, relationships, financial, grief, all sorts of things that will help you navigate your way into living the best version of yourself in your life. So stay tuned as we trickle out 21 experts over the next 21 days to help inspire and empower and help you realize that everything you need is exactly inside of you where it's always been. So join me on this little adventure, and I look forward to seeing you. Thanks so much. Welcome back to my show, From Stuck to Unstoppable. I'm your host, Christina Price. And today I'm here with Laura Enzor, who is a life reinvention coach for women. And I'm going to let her take the floor and tell us all about who she is, how she came to be a reinvention coach, what her story is, and how she partners up with women to help them reinvent themselves. Take it away.
Hi, Christina. I'm really thrilled to be on, and thank you for having me on your podcast. So yes, I am a life reinvention coach for women who are staring down a life transition, right? It might be a life transition they're not prepared for. They didn't see coming. Yeah, could be a surprise. It might be something they were prepared for, the empty nest. They're preparing themselves for the house to be empty, but then they're not really prepared for what actually happens. Yeah, right. Emotionally. Yeah. And so I primarily work with that because that's my story. Okay. Even though there's more to my story, it's what was the instigator for me to become a coach. And I had a life transition that I did not see coming. It just didn't, it wasn't anything I thought was possible. I was the healthiest person I knew. For 3 decades, I built a fitness career. And for 10 years, I was living with a chronic illness I didn't know I had. So I was pushing through life, being misdiagnosed time and time again, and doctors looking at me saying, you look healthy.
I know. That's like a whole nother show that we could go into.
Right. All the dismissal on that. And so I really was hard on myself because I was always on top of my game, a very disciplined person, all of that. I found myself at age 50 in what would be an explosion of Lyme disease symptoms. Okay. After 10 years of being diagnosed, and it's attached with, and when I talk about life transitions, as I get into what I wanted to talk about today, I find this is a very common denominator with people, that I find that many women settle for the life they're living, right? And I want to pose a question today, like, what if you were meant to live a more exciting and fulfilling life? And I think sometimes when those transitions happen, like when my identity got pulled out from under me, my career, my sense of worth, because being a fitness professional for 30 years and really doing 3 classes a day and
Right.
running in and doing the end of the day class to help people. I was a
Right.
big people pleaser, all of
That's
those
where you
things
found
that.
your self-worth.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
And it's part of, especially in my era, part of societal conditioning to
Huge
take care
part.
of everyone else,
At the expense of
and
yourself.
make sure you're the invincible one. Like you can sacrifice yourself
Mm-hmm.
to help others. And I wasn't any different. I thought I was doing something different because I kept my fitness regimen very disciplined. So I thought, oh, I am doing self-care.
That's my self-care.
That was it. I was in
Right.
fantastic shape. And so I thought I was doing everything right. Quote, doing everything right. And this life transition just threw me for a complete loop because I could no longer enjoy the activities I used to enjoy. I had to give up my career completely. I found myself on the couch in pity parties.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And the thing about where I was living, and then when you're faced with a life transition that you didn't expect, or maybe you anticipated, you're left spinning.
Yeah.
The world seems swirling. It was almost like there was so much fog in front of
Mhm.
I couldn't see my way through it. And what I'm asking people your audience and yourself today, just for the time we're talking, is I'm inviting people to shift their perspective right here and right now about what if the life you're settling for is not what you're meant for?
Mm.
What if all the struggle that you're feeling right now, and not everyone that's watching this is in the midst of a struggle, but maybe things could be better. Maybe your
Mhm.
relationship could be tighter. Maybe
Mhm.
you could find work that filled you instead of just something you're doing. So it goes all ways. And when I came to the realization that I had found a personal growth process, because I
Mhm.
knew that this little pity party thing that I had going on was not serving me.
Right.
I was not going to be the best friend to anybody. I was not going to be the best wife, mother, all of the things that I had prided myself on, right?
Mm.
I'd been interested in personal growth work, but dabbled in it in
Yeah.
my 30s and
Because
40s.
you were all set. You had it all sorted out.
And I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah. I know. I
and
can
for the
relate.
most part, that's how we all live, right?
Yep.
It really was something that I had to ask for help. And I was that type of person.
Yep.
And so I really understand what a lot of women go through. They feel like they don't need, or they're asking for help. Why? They're not acknowledging that their suffering, let's call it, their emotional suffering, is
Yep.
worthy
Of
to
attention.
change.
Yeah.
Like it's something you have to endure. And I don't believe that, not after what I experienced, because when I started to do the work that I really didn't, I just went in so that I could cope better with my illness. Like I just was like, okay, I've got to talk to somebody. I knew that therapy wasn't my route. I already did therapy for communication, for my past and my
Sure.
childhood stuff.
Sure.
And no, I need to get out of this. I need to find something to look forward to in life, because I really thought I was going to be sitting on the couch the rest of my life. With
Wow.
the diagnosis and the debilitating disease that started happening, with debilitating brain fog and joint pain, and not even be able to walk outside.
You were 10 years into Lyme disease before it was properly diagnosed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So it just was wreaking havoc on your whole system.
yes. And the thing
Yeah.
is, and this is Lyme disease awareness month, so something for people to know is
Right.
that it starts slow, right?
Mhm.
It's very sneaky. It was just a flu.
Yep.
For me, I felt like a flu, and then it was a flu that never went away.
Yep.
Then it would go in and out of cycle, and I was beating myself up because I wasn't perfect and I wasn't able to get everything done like I used to. And then I go into phases of being productive, and then it's a stress induced kind of disease too. So
Right.
every time, I had a lot of upheaval in my life with my husband's career, moved us around the world every 2 or 3 years. So there was a lot of stuff going on. So I'd always be riding this up and down wave. But this is how I can relate to my clients that come in with just about any situation,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
That they're wondering, like, okay, this is not going well. I don't see how my life can get any better.
Right. Like I don't see any path. It's just this one.
Yeah. And
Just
this is, I
on
can't
this one,
change.
and this stinks, right? But they can't, they have forgotten how to even dream or create a vision or see anything through any other lens. Yeah.
Yes. And I know for me, it was really easy to slip into negative thought loops. This isn't fair. Why
Yep.
me?
Yep.
All of that. So,
And all the confirmation bias. You're like, yep, that's there. Yep. Yep. Do you see? I'm right. This is, yep.
right. And where I didn't necessarily choose that pathway before in my life, it just arose out of me. It was like, where is all this coming from? But I couldn't shut it off.
Yeah.
So when that happens, see that's to me, that's, I want women to know that's a sign. That's a sign that you're ready for your next evolution.
Yes.
Because what took you from the time you were born
Yeah.
to the time you are now, and now you're all of a sudden you're in this situation that's not something you're familiar with. And everything that you used before to get out of a jam, or to pull yourself out of a hole, doesn't work anymore.
Work.
It's the self-sabotaging behavior that we've kind of learned to work around our whole lives. So I needed something deeper to get me underneath what was underneath all of that noise. Yeah. So I had to go on what I call like an excavation,
Oh, I like that.
an inner excavation. Yeah. And that's like how through the coaching programs that I've been through, I never intended to become a coach. It was all just
How
for
it
me.
happens. Yep.
I just wanted me to be better and to get back to teaching fitness, but that would never happen. In 10 years go by, and I'm not a fitness trainer anymore, and I'm a life coach. I found a new purpose, and it
Ah,
occurred after my first year and a half coaching certification that I was just doing for myself. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I can help people with this.
hey.
Yeah.
Clearly, that's always been a part of your path, whether
Mm,
you were doing fitness, right? Helping people try and be their best
right.
way physically. And now you're doing the heavy lifting on the inside,
Yeah, this
spiritual
component.
heavy lifting. Yep.
And that one that's easier to not look at,
Mm,
emotions, how you feel, what do you want? Are you feeling resentful?
mhm.
Are you clamping your voice? You're not
Yep.
speaking your truth.
Right. What
So
are you
there's all those.
avoiding? Right.
Yes. And so there's all those things that you don't think matter, you don't think are adding up to anything.
Right.
Yeah. And so though that's the type of coaching I do. And it's a very methodical process that I take them through. And it's very one step at a time.
Mhm.
Right. And I found that for me, it was a thing that tipped it over the edge. Like I've dabbled in all different kinds of
Uh-huh.
personal growth, right? But nothing really got underneath the rock, so to speak, to find
Uh-huh.
the root cause of what was ailing me, the truth,
Mm,
right? So through it, I found the little glimmers of the young Laura who was always like, oh, I want to be a movie star.
uh-huh.
I was this
Yeah.
like, great
Couldn't
out.
wait to experience all the things.
Yes, but yet my childhood upbringing would be otherwise. There's a lot of that's a whole probably story in itself. But it has a lot to do with why this kind of coaching that I also now share with other women works
Uh-huh.
so well for me.
Yeah.
Okay, because my childhood experience was I could say that it was challenging for
Like
me.
conforming, like you were like, this is where you're supposed to fit kind of
Oh
thing.
no, started from the beginning from when I was 4 and I lost my father. And having that memory of his funeral seared in my brain, but realizing that since my mother didn't talk about him ever again, I had this belief that I was never to ask about him. So I knew my dad wasn't coming back. I was talking to him when he was in the casket, and everybody was like, oh, she doesn't know.
Yeah, you're
He's
like, I'm
dead.
four,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And yeah, so it was a big, I would call that as a traumatic
Mhm.
situation. But many of us could be traumatic, but
Mhm.
mostly dramatic,
Mm.
right? Things that happened to us in our childhood. It's it's the process of starting with your current life and finding what is not going well. What are you having? What would you like to change about your situation?
Right.
You start with the big before and after concept, and then I come at that in so many different ways.
Right. Peeling back, figuring out.
Yes, peeling back the layers of the onion. And so there are specific, all life coaching is like this. So that's what makes mine a little bit different, that it's a cathartic process.
Yeah. And I feel like when we spoke earlier that you bring a lot of different modalities into it. You've created your own unique way of doing it as a combination of all the things that worked for you. And then you house it all under one roof, depending on what each person needs. And your toolkit's pretty large.
Yeah, it is part of it's actually a proven process that is all encompassing. So it's a form of integrative coaching.
Okay.
The breathwork meditation part of it, because it's all about, I like to say, making you become your own inner healer. So when they leave the time together, they not only have had certain amount of breakthroughs, they understand how to do it themselves.
Because it never stops. The growing never stops. The challenges never stop. It's never like a one and done. Oh, I've crossed that bridge. I'll never have to cross it again. Healing and growth are not linear. And I think the more work that, you do on yourself, you realize that it's just, wow, I really thought I tackled that. And you're like, it's right in front of me again. But I have, in my experience, found that the better you get at practicing, the more you do use your tools and the more you do look inside, the easier it is. It's like a muscle. You just get quicker at using it, quicker at resourcing, quicker at acknowledging. You don't, in my experience, like it's a lot easier to claim responsibility and accountability and be like, oh, whoops. Yeah, that's okay. I just created that. Let me come back and recognize that and do all the things that I need to do without that guilt and shame and resistance.
It's what you're speaking of is like taking responsibility for your own happiness. Because a lot of times when we get used to someone else's fault, finding that, oh, this person is this, they're making my life miserable, to name and blame and all those things. And it can be temporary relief, right? Just shove something off, but it still stays with you. And a lot of what I'm finding is a lot of women downplay their need for support because they
100%.
don't want to make it sound like they're so bad. I didn't think that I was so bad. Yes, I had a devastating illness. Yes, I lost my career, but it didn't mean that I was a messed up person. I was a lost person. I was just lost in my grieving and my anger and my frustration, which when those heightened emotions get involved, it shuts down pretty much all your ability to connect with yourself, to be rational, to be reasonable.
To see the truth, to see what's really real and not get so caught up in your stories that you just can't see straight.
Yeah. It exactly is what it feels like. And so there's no shame in asking for guidance at all. And I think if there's anything I'd like women to know too, is that voicing your needs is really your key to evolution. It's the key to you growing into that best version of yourself, that desired version. And I think sometimes people, it's the wake-up call, I guess.
It is, yeah.
It's an invitation to go deeper in your life. When you are, I always call it my wake-up call, because while it was the most devastating thing next to my dad's death, but it was happened in my adult life, now I can say it was the greatest gift. Even though I still suffer from some of the, the symptoms.
But it's opened a whole new world to you. Your connection with the world now is, you probably have an even greater impact than you did in your previous version at a much deeper level.
Yeah. And it's like the things that I used to get gratification from are different. Like for me, I love the one-on-one coaching container. I don't need to be the spotlight. Like when I was a trainer and a fitness instructor and doing all the classes, I loved being on stage.
You were the movie star, right?
Yeah, it was my chance of being a movie star.
Exactly.
And I will say those years were really important because they built my confidence in myself.
Yeah.
And we all have different stages that we go through in life. And I went from a quiet, not wanting to raise my hand in class my whole life as a young girl to being this loud, in charge fitness instructor, which is a huge like leap. And
Yeah.
I found my voice, I found myself, but there was so much more living under the layers too.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me now, it's not about filling every minute of my day. It's not
Mm.
about being the most productive person. Having had this illness and dealing with it, I'm forced to do a high level of self-care. I'm
Mhm.
forced. I don't go out Friday and Saturday night.
Oh, I haven't done that in years.
It's just not
There's been
happening.
no back-to-backs in a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your quality, the importance on quality really, I feel like shifts when you are truly like taking care of yourself and tending to your needs without any guilt or shame. It's just,
Yeah. And it's my future looks, I've got a daughter who's going to get married. They're going to probably
right.
start a family. They've moved out here. So it's, oh my gosh, this is an exciting chapter for me. And I'm so glad that I'm all here for it. I might have some days where I deal with some chronic pain in my feet. So I may not be able to go walking that day, but I can go to the gym. And like
Yeah.
I've worked out all my alternatives so that
Right.
I'm still living my best life that I can.
Right.
That's what, when I'm in container with someone, that's what we're working on. It's
Yeah.
about them,
Right.
it's totally about what their level is. And once, and this is part of what they'll be gathering as we go through it, but 95% of our reactions, our beliefs, the way we view the world are locked inside our subconscious mind. We don't even know why we believe what we
Uh-huh.
believe. Somewhere along the way,
Uh-huh.
there was an imprint.
That's
And
right.
that's the part of the shadow work that Debbie Ford so famously adopted from Carl Jung, his psychotherapist who was really into the shadow self. And it was it was very therapeutic oriented. So it was for people to absorb. So Debbie Ford took the work and made it palatable, made it easier to digest for people.
Yeah.
And that's part of it's woven into the fabric of the whole coaching program.
Program. Yeah.
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 So it's not the
Yeah.
only thing we work on because
But
they're
it's
all
part of it
yeah.
because we're so multifaceted. And if you don't figure out and uncover, which are really usually like ahas of, oh my gosh, you're not typically upset when you uncover these things, but it does all of a sudden a lot of things fall into line and you're like, wow, that makes a lot of sense because we think we're consciously making these choices and they're already determined. Like that signal's already coming up the chain before you even conjure up the answer. Like it's already on its way. And so the amazing thing about our brains, which is why I love the mindset coaching so much, is that we are reprogrammable and rewired. And we can unlearn things and relearn things and completely change our lives, like on a moment to moment and it doesn't take as long as it takes to change your body.
No.
Like you can do it. You can do it immediately. Like it's
Yeah.
hard to believe that, but when you start doing the work and you start when you're going through all this transformation, like the epiphanies and the transformations can happen fast. Also put that out there that like when you're working with the right coach and you're aligned, it does not have to take that long. Like when you're
Right.
really open to it and you're really ready and you're like, let's do this, it's amazing how quickly it can happen.
Yes. And I will say that like sometimes because everybody receives what they're ready for.
That's right.
So everybody comes in at a different level. Some people are kind of like, I've been this way all my life. I don't believe I can change
This is just
that.
the way that I am. Yeah.
Yes. And I will tell you that it's so funny that I was probably a natural born pessimist because it was a coping mechanism for me.
Sure. Yeah.
Always having to think ahead of what could happen was a safety net for
To
me.
protect yourself. Yep.
And I needed to protect myself in my childhood scenario.
Yeah.
And so it became very much part of the fabric of my life. And even after my husband met me, and it's not like I'm pessimistic all the time, but it was like my strategy to feel safe
Uh-huh.
wherever. If I was going out socially and with different people, I would be like, I'd always run through the scenarios in my head. Like it was a way of me feeling safe in the world.
The way of being. Yeah.
Yeah. And once I started doing the work and I was like, we opened the door on that one, I was like, oh, like, why would I ever go there on my own? I wouldn't have, because it was working for me in
And
the
you
way
gained
that I thought it
awareness.
worked, like
Yeah.
the way I manipulated it. But once I cracked that open, I am the most positive person now.
Amazing.
So my husband like woke up one day, he's like, do you know what? You are a positive person now. Like when he could notice that,
Sure.
I was like, God, you're right.
Yeah. And isn't it great? Because you get to choose. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So, a lot of when I started working with the coach, just so people could understand how it pans out, she led me down a path that helped me realize the stories I was telling myself. And
Mhm.
I say stories we tell ourselves like, it's all about what other people want. It's not about what I want. There's some that are
Yep.
universal. I'm
Yep.
not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. All of those could be universal for people, but we all have individual root causes for
Yep.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what makes shadow work a lot different about the investigation. So
Mm-hmm.
I found that when I could connect with where the story originated, how it originated, and understood that my child's mind had to make sense of it. So
Mm-hmm.
it always defaulted to make it mean something about me. And it usually was a negative. I'm not good enough. I'm not they're all, you think you did something wrong.
Yeah.
And you forget about these stories and you shove them away. You just don't think about them
Yep.
anymore. So the thing is, the kicker is that they're not necessarily true.
They're not true and they're not gone.
Yeah. And they're not based in real fact because
That's right.
as a child, you had no ability to discern what was
Nope.
going on.
Yeah.
So you just decided on your own.
Yeah.
That's the way, it was going to be. They're also your beliefs. And I'll give you just a short belief for an example. Do we have time?
We're going to run out,
Right.
but we
Oh,
can make
okay.
it
All
real
right.
quick.
But I think people are understanding, yeah, about the shadow belief because we've all created
Yeah.
them.
We all have it. Nobody's immune.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Nobody's immune.
immune. And
That's
it's
for sure.
it's affecting you, whether
Mm.
you realize it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
good
you mostly
effort.
aren't aware of it all of your
Yeah.
life because
Yeah.
it's
No.
just who you are. When people start feeling that, the more possibility, and that's what it did for me.
Mhm.
All of a sudden the why me's and this isn't fair and what other people are doing and I can't do that. That didn't matter anymore. It wasn't about all of the comparison. I could let it go. And because I had so much other things I was letting go, it was easy. It wasn't a scary thing to let
Well,
go.
that's right. And once you start, like I said, it's that working that muscle. It does get easier and lighter.
Yeah. So if anybody is,
Yes.
listening to this and staring down this life transition that they're not comfortable with,
Mhm.
no, you're not alone.
You're not
Because
alone.
a lot of people go through this. And I think women like to keep it quiet.
Yeah.
You're not crazy either, but I like to say you're just standing at the doorway of your next chapter.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
True. And you get to decide how you walk through it. It's easier with support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
Feel
don't know how to
support.
guide yourself. I like to say, I never was handed the manual or the playbook to get through tough times with grace.
That's right.
My parents never handed me that. So I
No,
didn't
no,
know.
this is like a new thing. Yeah.
You do whatever you know the best. And that's all we can do.
Yeah.
And I think that the best thing about doing this work is the compassion that you
Yes.
grow to have for yourself
Yeah.
because you realize, oh my gosh, I was compelled to make these choices. I was
Right.
compelled to do this because I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
You can look at yourself and not beat yourself up
Yeah.
for stupid choices you
I
made and
know.
let go
And
of
it's
it.
done. So it's like, what are we going to go doing forward? And the more compassion you can find for yourself, the more compassion you have for others. And then you just create this amazing dynamic web of community. And
Yeah.
so it is like a win-win, pay it forward. Anytime you heal yourself, you by default heal all the people around you. So
yeah, especially, in your family members. And my daughter sees this
yeah,
happy, healthy,
it's such a
positive.
wonderful thing to model. I
Mhm.
know. I
Yeah, so
know.
it's not reinvention isn't
Not
selfish.
selfish.
It's sacred.
That's
It's sacred.
great. On that note, oh my gosh, it was such a pleasure, Laura. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like your message and story is going to land with a lot of people. And I love all your encouragement to really get support and reach out because you're not alone. We're all in it. And
Yeah.
the better we bond together, the farther we'll go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just an invitation to go deeper. That's
Yep.
if you just reframe it in that way instead of I'm stuck and this is the end.
It's just
Yeah,
the beginning.
yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me. And
Yes.
hopefully everybody will have gotten lots and loads of nuggets there. And we'll see you soon.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Christina.
Thanks, Laura.